Hi guys, I'm Danny, and I started a Sunday gym because I've noticed lately that people tend to go to colleges and universities without actually knowing why they're there. And afterwards, starting jobs that are unfulfilling. So I'm interviewing different professionals to see what they have to say and share their knowledge and experience with you. I hope you enjoy it. Right on. Dom, how are you doing today?
Man, doing good, Danny. How you feeling?
Can't complain right away. As a matter of fact, my only complaint is that I don't have anything to complain about. That's been going on for like about a week. So that's pretty good. The program will be focused on three main questions. What do you do for a living? How did you get there? How did you know that this was the way to go? So tell us what you do for a living, Dom.
Sure thing. And not to say I'm a motivational speaking librarian if I was to combine my day job with what I do by night, because by day I work as a librarian at a public library in the US of A. And when I'm not doing that, I host a podcast called the Going North Podcast. And I also am a leadership trainer with the Maxwell Leadership Team and also write books myself. So books and people are the name of the game for me because, hey, people wrote and published books, and books make people better people. So that's really what I'm all about.
That's pretty impressive. Were you like walking the street one day and you were like, let me write books and coach people, or was there anything that led to it?
Yeah, so that actually happened because, funny enough, my mom wanted me to get some employment while I was in grade school, and I was like, I think it was like graduating 10th grade, and I need to be at least 16 to get a works permit. And an opportunity just showed up at the local library. I could even walk there from my home, and it was like, wow, this is pretty freaking cool. And I actually was able to get a summer youth internship there, was even paid, and I
Nice.
didn't do anything. Yeah, man, it
It's
was a great feeling.
at least here in Europe, it's not actually easy to get a paid internship at age 16, 17. Once you graduate
Oh,
college, yeah, but in that age, that was pretty good, man.
yeah, yeah, I call that a blessing indeed. Definitely a blessing indeed. Because the thing is, like, I didn't do anything stupid, so they call me back a couple months later after I turned 16 legally, and they're like, "Hey, you want to come back? We'll pay you again." I'm like, "Oh, cool, got
Nice.
me in."
No, that's
Yeah,
a solid motivator. I'm not all about the money, but that's a good motivator.
that's true indeed. Because it's really up there. Like I think it was the late great Zig Ziglar who mentioned that. Hey, yeah, money's not everything, but it's really close to oxygen in terms of needs.
Yeah. I remember when I started working for the government, that was my first job, real job, because it was the rough period here. There weren't a lot of opportunities. So, I went to the National Railway Infrastructure Company, and I was a little bit scared because, that I'm sure if you see, and I'm talking to people from all over the world, government employees are always like that. Have you seen this movie with Johnny Depp, those pirates that are part of the ship and part of the furniture? That's how government employees are part of the building. It was scary, especially for a young man going over there. So when I went there, and I like, so and I didn't know what to say. That was another gentleman like, hey, get over here. I said, yeah, listen, kid, you're young. We both know you're here for the money. Don't pretend you like us. We don't like you either. Just be a gentleman. Get the money and get out of here. What are you doing? So, but I stood there for 3.5 years.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. There you go. There you
So
go.
I noticed something, and as I'm talking to people, again, people from all over. I love talking to people like you because, and correct me if I'm wrong, all right? Because I have this thing that my guests are always smarter than I am. So correct me when I'm wrong. There is no way you could have been doing all this, the podcast, the books, if you weren't a people's person. Because I used to joke about the money and everything, but when it hits this point, it's not about the money. If you
Hmm.
deep down, if your soul was not made that way, you would have never done all that. You could have done some, but you would have never pushed to that level. That's of course personal opinion.
Hey, you're definitely right because a lot of the libraries, at least in the US of A right now, they're really community centers because during the pandemic when it started, we basically had to pivot where we had Wi-Fi that would cover the building, but not the actual parking lots of the building. So having to expand the Wi-Fi to connect to the parking lots, so that way, even though folks couldn't be in the building, they can still connect and have internet from outside the building. And we also, even before the pandemic, were doing a hotspot pilot where we basically had 50 Wi-Fi hotspots for folks to check out for free for 3 weeks. Where
Nice.
if they have that device, they can basically connect their computer to that device. And of course, well, with the pandemic, that 3 weeks turned into 3 months and some change, lots and lots of change,
Yeah.
and free computers too for folks to check out for
Although
3 weeks as
in all
well.
fairness, because I'm an old school gamer, so I learned about the pandemic 2 years after it started. So my life didn't change that much, to be honest. Out of nowhere, there was this government official, like, you be staying in home, don't move out there. Like, okay, I've been doing this since '96, but thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like I'm
But
already
yeah,
here,
it sure
man.
did change a lot of things. Not for me, but it changed a lot of things.
Yeah, but yeah, your intuition was right on that one, man. Definitely a people person. It's like, yeah, sometimes people can people too much, but I'm still a
Yeah,
people person.
yeah, I know. But the level of tolerance of peopling too much is higher when you're a people's person. Like, I had to talk to an IT guy, and like I graduated in Denmark, so I call the whole Scandinavian peninsula the IT peninsula, because they have this IT guy mentality. Like, no matter what happens, they're always gonna answer with yes or no. So the most, all right, not owner, but most. But yeah, definitely the people, and I love talking to people's persons. And the third question is a little bit odd. I'm sure you've noticed that too. When people tend to go to those colleges, universities, because they have the stigma, right? You have to have a diploma or you won't make it in life, which, in all fairness, is not exactly right. Even especially today, when you have all those courses and online things. When I went to college, in 2008, I think. Yeah, probably. So when I was there, I was studying things about in the '90s and in the '80s, and like, those people were dead. I'm okay with reading Greco-Roman mythology. That's fine, but we're talking about real life skills, so it's not that kind of a knowledge that is forever, because times are changed. Times have changed remarkably, and when they go to college because of that stigma, and they start something that clearly isn't for them, and afterwards start working something that is related to what they've studied, which isn't for them either. And what do you have now? You have 23, 4, 5, 6-year-old young people, because those are not kids anymore. You have young people who are bitter, angry, miserable, because there is no way, and again, correct me when I'm wrong, please, but there is no way you can be doing something 8, 9, 10 hours a day, something that you don't like, and not be a miserable person. That's like literally Satan giving you the keys to hell, and he's going on vacation to Costa del Sol in Spain, hanging you all the keys for hell, because he ain't needed no more. You got the whole thing on yourself, which is ridiculous, and that's why I actually made the program. So how did you knew that this was the way to go? With all the things, you already kind of covered it when you were young. You went there, they give you internship, but then again, if that wasn't for you, you would have never stayed. So how did you knew that this was the way to go?
Yeah, it's really the transformation and the growth process, because the thing was, funny enough, you mentioned IT guys earlier. I actually got my IT degree back in 2013, funny enough, and I actually went for a couple exams and like went for my security plus. My looking back, if there was something, well, then again, it turned out okay for the most part afterwards. But if there's somehow change, I wouldn't go for, let's say, a level 3 exam when I didn't even get to the level 1 exam and pass that first. I took a security exam for my security plus certification, and I forgot all my test taking abilities I learned in high school and polished up in college, to where I got to the first question and I took all freaking day on it. And then I was basically shot for the rest of the exam because the first question was like, I think 30, 50 points or whatever. Then after that, it was just basically multiple choice. Like if it was going back, I would have probably skipped that one and did multiple choice first. But anyways, failed that exam by a good 100 points. I needed to get like 780 and I got about 684. And I was like, ah, dang, well, I guess I could go back and try again. But little did I know I got promoted full time at the location I was working at the time. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm staying here because the thing was that promotion, I feel, came to me after a stellar year of growth because up to that point, I was working at that library for about a good 6 years, but I really don't consider my true work experience started at least until that that basically after year 5 because that was the year I actually got into a car accident on my 21st birthday and my father was coming down with Alzheimer's. So having to help out around the home while being a full-time college student while working part-time was really actually weighing down on me a bit. And my boss called me in one time for a meeting, and I'm sure we've all had those meetings with a boss at one point where you leave pissed off. But the thing was, as more time passed along, I realized that actually that was a meeting for transformation because she mentioned that Dom, you're going to be a leader. You're a leader because you've been here for 5 years, and I got some new folks coming in that are going to be looking towards you for information. And I'm like, wow. And that led me to read books about leadership from John Maxwell and Brian Tracy and other wonderful folks, and really transform my mindset to think more positive. And I feel like that self education was more valuable than the IT degree because the thing was like, yeah, you can't really confirm or deny with in terms of a piece of paper or some call a receipt. But the thing was, I gained a better mindset from the self-taught route and actually applying it to my own life as opposed to that degree where, yeah, you can have a lucrative career in the IT world, but I probably would have stood out, and that really wasn't my passion. So really, it all just came from that route of actually taking the extra mile and reading the books that I truly wanted to read that would help me to grow and develop and be the best version of myself as opposed to just going the traditional education route. Not saying that the traditional education route is bad. There's still
No,
some
it's not.
good you
I'm
can
not
get out of
against
it.
it. I mean,
Yeah.
I went to college, master's degree. I'm about to start a PhD now. So, it's not that I'm trashing the universities because I have nothing better to do. Just I'm highlighting the fact that there is room for improvement.
Yeah, you're right about that. Like, heck, even to your point, another point you made earlier, like I was talking with this guy who was an entrepreneur and a community college wanted to bring him in to be a professor, but they would tell him, hey, you got to wait 2 years to talk about podcasting and YouTube. It's like, dude, you know how different the platform is going to be by the time you actually let me
Yeah, two
come in
years
and
is
teach your students?
that's about 2 decades in real life. That's
Yeah.
2 years is a long time in the internet
Yeah.
thing. I I worked at Hewlett Packard actually for 2 years,
Oh,
and when
wow.
I
Okay.
started, I had to make this frame on how the process is being made, how it's being handled, and everything. And 2 years after I started, I had to move to another company, and my boss called me and said, "Is the procedure that you wrote well? Did you manage to write it down?" I said, "Yeah, of course." He said, "Well, when was that?" So when I started, I said, "You insane? That was 2 years ago. Check it out." And because that there are little changes every month, little changes here, little changes there. And when I opened it, even I didn't knew what was in there. And I'm the one who wrote it down 2 years ago. So 2 years is, and this is a job thing, not an internet thing, a job thing. So 2 years is a long time in today's age.
Yeah.
That's why I should go to the Vatican and ask the Pope to remove the whole "till death do you part." Just let's keep it for 2.5 years. Let's do 2.5 years. We'll see how it goes from there. That's ridiculous.
uh, ladies will probably enjoy that with the quickest be like, ah, he got the beer belly package. I'm out. Or
Yeah.
dude's like, oh, shoot, she is not hot anymore. She gave up on her beauty. I'm out.
and we're gonna have zip lines from the apartment buildings over there. So when you're out, you're just really out. One briefcase per divorcee. Sounds like a plan. And with that said, Dom, do you happen to have about a words of wisdom for the folk that are graduating high school, going into college, looking for a new job, whatever, so that they can, because you figured it out, you figured yourself out pretty young. And you mentioned one more thing. You mentioned this, you walking an extra mile for the when you read those books for leadership. I think it was just normal and suitable for you. I wasn't there. I didn't saw you back then. I'm pretty sure that when you were reading those books for that specific reason, when you were in the library, when you were expecting to train other people, I assume that felt like you were putting an old glove on your hand. That's how it. I believe so. So, because that was like you, that was really you. That's how you were made and built, and you knew yourself back. I'm certain that you knew yourself back then. So, give an advice how people can figure themselves out.
Sure thing. Definitely. One of the major lessons that really stuck out to me that I'll probably remind folks is that if you are passionate about what you do, you have that fire to really go get it and go after it. Never lose that fire, because the thing is, if you lose that fire, it can be hard to get it back. And it's going to happen sometimes with life. Things change, kind of like with the whole instead of till death do us part. It's like, let's make this a 2 or 3 year agreement, see how long it lasts. It's like life is going to come at you fast, and success isn't going to be a straight line to the top. Like,
No,
I
never is.
funny enough, like I thought I was going to be, heck, even I was talking with a colleague of mine. She was probably like maybe 15, 20 years my senior. And I was like, oh yeah, it's going to go get the certification and all this other stuff, and I'll be set. And she was like, hey, it's not going to be that easy. And it's like, I think I'll be all right. Oh no, she was right. Success is a squiggly line. It's not a straight line. Like, you're going to have twists and turns, forks in the road. And sometimes in this modern era, you're going to have a spoon in the road. So keep your fire, be ready for misdirections and redirections, and also learn public speaking, because that'll put you at a cut above a lot of other people, because public speaking is one of the greatest fears on earth. That's even it probably is in at least in the top 3 or 5. It sometimes is number one at times, depending on whatever poll they take, because there's a classic joke of Seinfeld about how the guy giving the eulogy would rather switch places with the guy in the casket because people are so scared about it. And that was true for me in my own life when I ran a public speaking seminar for my church for free, where I divided into 2 parts. The first part is going to be the content. Second part was going to be audience participation. The goal for the event was about a good 100 people. I got a good 90. I was happy about that. And funny enough, after the keynote was over, the first part of the program was over, when it came down to audience participation, it was down to 10 people. So people are really scared about public speaking. So if you can get
Yeah.
that major 10%, be in that top 10% of by learning public speaking and communicating your ideas, that'll basically put you over the edge. So definitely do those things, and you'll be on a better trajectory.
Also,
Definitely.
public speaking thickens the skin a lot, like a lot. You can be in the friendliest crowd, and there's always going to be those that 1 or 2 douchebags out of nowhere. You gotta have to deal with them. I I did it when I was in university, in college. Even now, we have those mentoring programs. There are always 2. It's like God strategically placed them on around the globe to make sure you're gonna thicken your skin. You're always going to encounter them. I don't know how it's happened, but it's happening like that.
That's right. Skin's got to be thicker than a bowl of oatmeal, y'all.
I couldn't agree more. With that said, Dom, thanks for being with me, man. Send me all the links you got. I'm gonna put them in the description below.
You the man, Daddy. This has been fun on the bun.
Right on. Have a good day, though. Guys, I hope this one was useful. Please follow the channel on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, Gap, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Ring the bell and all the good stuff. Have a nice week ahead, and I'll see you next Sunday.